Kenneth, in your latest blog post, you reflect on what we saw in the insurance industry in 2021, including new risk models, shifting capacity, and new products and pricing. Let's talk about how these dynamics are playing out in agriculture and what farmers are experiencing as historically reliable risk models are upended. Are insurers finding new ways to help farmers mitigate risk and recover amid these shifts in loss patterns? And what are those strategies and how are they different for large versus small holders?
Yeah, Abby, we'll go right back to the COP26 meeting and climate change, and clearly the implications on property, including agricultural holdings, are very, very substantial. Right? So I think we absolutely are seeing a really different profiling of risk in the agricultural sector, both as you look at the underlying property as well as the impact of weather on crops. And so certainly going to be a lot of changes coming through in that space. Crop is a very different thing across the world, right? And we see some of the massive land holdings and massive vineyards, et cetera, in North America or Europe. And then we also, at the other end of the spectrum, see essentially a microinsurance offer to these very small holdings and individual plots sprinkled across, as an example, lots of parts of Southeast Asia. Right? It is a big shift in what's happening in the industry. Microinsurance, certainly not a new concept, but I think as we talk about sustainability, as we talk about serving currently underserved segments, the need to actually develop these models for the microinsurance side of this for smaller holdings is a really big shift that we're going to continue to see. Because it is, while individually small in aggregate, it is a major population and a big part of what actually happens in agriculture in lots of parts of the world. Agriculture has actually been an interesting space with a lot of innovation in it, whether we talk about, again, at the larger side of the spectrum, the use of drones for imaging to sort of run across these holdings to look at, the same thing is true for forestry, to look for pockets where there might be concerns. And in fact, some of the very first smart contracts that we saw in insurance actually occurred in agriculture, specifically for vineyards, where if in fact the vineyard placed a number of sensors across the entire plantings, and if in fact the temperatures fell below freeze level, the smart contract immediately closed out the claim and made the payment. So it is a space where we're going to see a very continued shift in how individual holdings are being covered. I think we're going to see continued interest from a sustainability perspective, from a climate change perspective, and I think continue to see innovations in how those risks are underwritten and how claims are handled in that space.